Today, I reset the NFL with a fantasy draft, and the Carolina Panthers are first on the clock.
With the first pick, the Carolina Panthers select Patrick Mahomes.
Not gonna lie, that is genuinely surprising. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's still obviously Patrick Mahomes, but he's like the third or fourth highest rated QB in this game. But now, the Bengals are on the clock, and with the second overall pick, they're sticking with the guy they know, drafting Joe Burrow. Next, the Lions got the third pick in the draft, and with that pick, they're gonna select Josh Allen. After that, the Saints are gonna pick Lamar Jackson. Then we got the Steelers, and they're picking Justin Herbert. With the sixth pick, the Dolphins draft Baker Mayfield. And the Chargers are up next, and they pick Jalen Hurts. No disrespect, but he's an 86 overall. Like, there's still higher rated quarterbacks on the board. Like, perfect example, Dak Prescott going to the Niners at 8. And I think the Ravens have a type because they select Jaden Daniels. Because I guess teams are only allowed to select quarterbacks, despite the fact we have tons of higher rated players on the board. But to round out our top 10, the Bucks got the pick. And wow, they're actually gonna pick Patrick Surtain.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
But now we can sim to the end of the draft, and we're going straight to the playoffs to find out where everyone ended up and see which teams ended up being good. Like, it is an entirely new NFL, so anything is possible. And we'll start out in the AFC, where the Dolphins got the 1 seed and won the East, going 13-4, with the Jets also making the playoffs at 11-6. Miami went with Baker Mayfield at quarterback, who had 4,500 yards and 46 touchdowns. And he was throwing a DK Metcalf, who finished the year with 1,700 yards and 21 touchdowns. Plus the rookie Luther Burden, who had 1,100 yards and 6. And they also had Bijan Robinson at running back, who had 1,200 yards and 15 touchdowns. The Jets were led by rookie Cam Ward at quarterback, who threw for 3,800 yards and 38 touchdowns. George Pickens led the team in receiving yards with 1,000 and added 15 touchdowns. But Christian Watson had 879 and 17 touchdowns. Plus, they also selected Saquon Barkley with their first round pick, and he had a great year with 1,700 yards and 15 touchdowns. The Patriots went with Brock Purdy, who threw for 3,700 yards and 32 touchdowns, and he was paired with his real-life teammate Brandon Ayuk, who had 1,218 touchdowns. And this is basically the New England 49ers, because they had Christian McCaffrey at running back, who had 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns. And finishing last in this division was the Bills, with Jared Goff throwing for 4,300 yards and 38 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker III rushing for 1,210, and Jordan Addison grabbing 1,400 yards and 11 touchdowns. Brandon Cooks got 1,107, and Dalton Kincaid, still on the Bills, had 522 and 10. In the North, the Steelers won the division going 10-7, with the Ravens also making the playoffs with the same record. But Justin Herbert on the Steelers threw for 3,700 yards and 30. Rashad White was their top running back with 1,004, but as a backup, Ramondre Stevenson scored 10 touchdowns, and their top receivers was Khalil Shakir with 1,112, and Jerry Jeudy with 1,000 even and 7 touchdowns. Wow, this is really low. On the Ravens, Jaden Daniels only threw for 2,800 yards and 22 touchdowns, but on the ground he also added 340 and 5 touchdowns. But J.K. Dobbins led the team with 1,105 as well, and their best receiver was Stephon Diggs with 850 and 8, and they also brought back Isaiah Likely, who had 726 and 5. The Bengals stuck with Joe Burrow, who had a terrible year by his standards in Madden, because he only had 3,400 yards and 31 touchdowns, but they did bring back Joe Mixon, who had 1,410, and their top receiver was Marvin Harrison Jr., who had 871 and 13, but they also had Tyler Warren, who picked up 869 and 7. And the Browns were terrible this year, only winning 2 games, led in part by Michael Penix, who had 3,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 17 interceptions. Their top rusher was Jalen Warren with 835 and 9, and the only player above 90 overall on this team was CeeDee Lamb, and he managed to get 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns. Moving to the South, the Titans were the only team to make the playoffs, going 9-8, and they were led by Geno Smith, who had 4,000 yards and 18 touchdowns, but they did get the rookie Ashton Genty, who had 1,300 yards and 18, and the rookie Travis Hunter, who had 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns. On the Texans, Jackson Dart threw for 3,900 yards and 30 touchdowns. Kyron Williams had 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns rushing, and Malik Neighbors paired up with Jackson Dart, led the team with 1,000 yards receiving and 16 touchdowns. The Jags decided to bring Mac Jones back to be their quarterback, and he threw for 3,600 yards, 23 touchdowns, but 22 interceptions. Their top rusher was Devon Achane with 993 and 6, and their top receiver was Zay Flowers with 1107. And the Colts finished last in this division, with Trevor Lawrence throwing for 3,400 yards and 19 touchdowns. James Cook was their top back with 900 yards and 7, and their top receiver was Jamar Chase, who had 900 yards and 11 touchdowns. But they did also bring back Michael Pittman Jr., who had 841 and 4. And last in the AFC West, the Broncos won the division going 11 and 6, with the Chargers also making the playoffs at 9 and 8. They decided to go with JJ McCarthy, who had 3,400 yards and 27 touchdowns. Bucky Irving led the team in rushing with 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns, and their top receiver was Jamison Williams with 962 and 4. But Xavier Legette had 794 and 13, and Sam Laporta grabbed 661 and 7. The Chargers went with Jalen Hurts, who threw for 3,600 yards and 14 touchdowns, but he did throw 16 interceptions. Rushing wise, they had Josh Jacobs, who had 1,400 yards and 21 touchdowns. And for receiving, Garrett Wilson led the team with 1,107. The Raiders decided to go with Sam Darnold as their quarterback, and he threw for 3,000 yards and 18 touchdowns. Chuba Hubbard led the team in rushing with 1,200 yards and 8, and even though he was paired with his real-life quarterback, Jackson Smith and Jigba led the team with 758 and only 4 touchdowns. But the Chiefs were one of the worst teams in the conference, even though Jordan Love threw for 4,000 yards and 32 touchdowns. Their top receiver was T. Higgins, who grabbed 1,000 yards and 10, plus Ted McMillan, who had 955 and 10. But rushing-wise, DeAndre Swift only managed 643 and 3 touchdowns. But moving over to the NFC, the Eagles won the East going 10 and 7, with the Commanders making the playoffs with the same record. But the Eagles had Danny Dimes throwing for 3,600 yards and 20 touchdowns, paired up with his real-life teammate Jonathan Taylor, who rushed for 1,316, and their real-life teammate Josh Downs, who led the team in receiving with 1,100 yards and 5 touchdowns. Plus, they also had Jalen Waddle getting 826 and 5, and David Njoku getting 656 and 8. Now, the Commanders were led by Caleb Williams, who had 4,000 yards and 26 touchdowns. Omarion Hampton was their top back with 995 and 10, and they also had Amon-Ra St. Brown grabbing 1,400 yards and 16 touchdowns. Plus, Chris Godwin Jr. getting 871 and 6. On the Giants, Justin Fields threw for 3,600 yards and 27 touchdowns, and then for receiving, they had Tyreek Hill picking up 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns, but Brock Bowers had 994 yards and 16 touchdowns. That's an insane year for a tight end. And Jerry Jones was out here being Jerry Jones, because he picked Gardner Minshew to be his quarterback. Literally out of all the options they could have chose, they chose him. But he did have 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns. Cam Scatterbu led the team in rushing with 983 and 11. Devontae Adams led the team in receiving with 1,000 yards and 9. And George Kittle was second with 991 and 6. Now in the NFC North, the Lions were the only team to make the playoffs going 12 and 5. And as we know, they went with Josh Allen as their quarterback. And he had a pretty mild year for his standards, throwing for 3,600 yards and 23 touchdowns. But Alvin Kamara had a career year rushing with 1,100 yards and 13 touchdowns. Genuinely cannot believe he's never had 1,000 yards in a season in real life. But AJ Brown led the team in receiving with 950 and 6, and Cooper Kupp added 782 and 10 touchdowns. On the Vikings, Matt Stafford threw for 3,200 yards and 28 touchdowns. Javonte Williams rushed for 1,000 yards and 3, and Puka Nacua had 1,000 yards receiving and 11 touchdowns. And the Packers only won 5 games this year, even though they brought back Aaron Rodgers, who threw for 3,400 yards and 28 touchdowns. His former real-life teammate Breece Hall had 1,000 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns, and Ladd McConkey led the team in receiving with 1,200 yards and 14. And last for this division, we got the Bears, who went with Bryce Young, who threw for 3,300 yards and 24 touchdowns. Derrick Henry on this team had 1,341 and 9, and Chris Olave had 881 and 10, with Scary Terry adding 724 and 5. But the NFC South went crazy because the Saints won the division and got the 1 seed going 14 and 3, with the Panthers also making the playoffs at 13 and 4. But Lamar and the Saints threw for 5,400 yards and 43 touchdowns. An absolutely insane year from him. Their top rusher was Rico Dowdle, who had 669 and 14, but receiving Devontae Smith had 1,900 yards and 20 touchdowns. But Patrick Mahomes and the Panthers threw for 3,522. Jahmyr Gibbs rushed for 1,269 and 11, with his backup Ray Davis picking up 542 and 14. And their top receiver was Nico Collins, who had 956 and 6. DeAndre Hopkins added 793 and 7, and Travis Kelce had 767 and 8. Now the Buccaneers went with Bo Nix as their quarterback, and he threw for 4,300 yards and 31 touchdowns. Isaiah Pacheco added 1,100 yards and 8 rushing, and their top receiver was Brian Thomas Jr., who had 1,109. But the real life, Buck.
Imika Egbegbo.
Added 986 and 7. And the Falcons only managed 3 wins all year, with CJ Stroud throwing for 3,500 yards and 22 touchdowns. But their top receiver was Keenan Allen, who had 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. Now, lastly, in the NFC West, the Rams won the division going 11 and 6, with the Niners also making the playoffs at 10 and 7. But Tua had a great year on the Rams with 3,800 yards and 37 touchdowns. Travis Etienne had 1,000 yards rushing and 7. And Justin Jefferson led the team in receiving with 1,000 yards and 16 touchdowns. Xavier Worthy getting 855 and 6, and Evan Ingram getting 523 and 8. On the Niners, Dak Prescott threw for 3,700 yards and 28 touchdowns. David Montgomery led the team in rushing with 1,200 yards and 8, and Rome Odunze had the best year receiving for them with 1,412. On the Seahawks, Kyler Murray threw for 3,600 yards and 26 touchdowns. Tony Pollard had 1,000 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns, but as a backup, Kareem Hunt added 393 and 9, and they also had Drake London go over 1,000 and pick up 7 touchdowns, and Mike Evans had 851 and 10. And lastly, we had the Cardinals pick Drake May, and he threw for 3,700 yards and 27 touchdowns. Quinshawn Judkins led the team in rushing with 912 and 10, and then Jacoby Myers had 892 and 5, and Deebo Samuel had 890 and 6. Myles Garrett on the Jaguars led the league with 21.5 sacks. Chris Jones on the Niners had 18.5, and Micah Parsons on the Seahawks had 18. And our league leaders for interceptions was Kenny Moore II and AJ Terrell with 6. I know that kind of took a while to go through, but I feel like this is all kind of pointless if you have no idea who's on the new teams. I mean, I think I know who won MVP. Yeah, I mean, there was no way it was not going to be Lamar. And even with a terrible year, Burrow still makes the list. But now, this is going to be our playoff bracket for this season, and we'll start out in the wild card with the Niners versus Lions. And this game's tied at 20 with 2 minutes to go, but the Niners got the ball in midfield. And that sack is definitely not what they needed, but Dak's going to throw on this one, and he's got Bateman on the drag, who's got space in front of him, and he's going to get all the way up to the 26. So now they're definitely in field goal range, and it's going to be a pitch to Montgomery, who's got blockers and space in front of him for another first down. That got him up to the 14, but he went out of bounds, so it stopped the clock, and Dak's getting sacked again. And wisely, the Lions use their first time out, but Dak's thrown again, and he's got Bateman for 10. So that makes it 3rd down from the 8. The Lions need to hold him to a field goal, but Dak rolls out and picks up a first, which burned the Lions last time out, so of course they're throwing it. And Rome Odunze's got the touchdown. They literally could have kneeled it out and kicked a field goal, but instead they decided to give Josh Allen a minute and a chance, and he's gonna throw deep to AJ Brown, and it's broken up. That would have been insane if they got it done in one play, but Brown can't grab that either. So it's already 3rd down. I mean, it's obviously 4 down territory, but they have no timeouts. Cooper Kupp is wide open though for a first. So now they're up to the 47. Allen throws again, but it's across the middle, which is definitely not what they want to do, because the clock's just going under 10 seconds now. You can't check it down like that, and you can't make a move like that, because now there's no chance they're going to get another play off. So the Niners are going to hold on to win this game. So we'll move on to the Ravens versus Steelers, tied at 10 with 2 minutes to go. And Jaden Daniels and the Ravens got the ball in midfield, but it's a quick pass here to Diggs, who's got a first down. That got him up to the 43, and they only need a field goal, but he's got Diggs wide open, and he'll go all the way for the touchdown to take the late lead in this game. So now the pressure's on Justin Herbert and the Steelers, and he's got Rachaad White for a first down. That got him up to the 35. I mean, they're moving the ball very well, and he's taking a deep shot here, but Kmet can't grab it. That really looked like it was about to be caught. Herbert's got time, and he checks down across the middle, but he's a yard short, so season's on the line, and he throws it out wide, and that, oh, he's gonna break a tackle and pick up a first. I thought that play was dead in the backfield, but White shook off Trey Hendrickson, but Herbert just threw a laser to Jerry Jeudy right over Chase Young's shoulder, and that got him to the 5. They spiked it on first down. They're gonna throw to the end zone, and it's broken up. So now it's 3rd down with 12 seconds. You had White out of the backfield. You're gonna throw across the middle to Jerry Jeudy, who's got the touchdown. So we're going overtime, and the Ravens got the ball first and went 3 and out, so now the Steelers can win the game on this drive, and they're up to the 21, so they're already in field goal range, and he's got Cole Kmet open across the middle, getting all the way down to the 1. They could kick a field goal to win it, but instead they're gonna run it, and that backed him up to the 2. It's another handoff to Stevenson, but Justin Reed's gonna stop him. I don't understand why they just don't kick the field goal, but I guess it's not gonna matter because Jerry Jeudy's got that touchdown. So the Steelers are gonna take down the Ravens. Next, the Broncos shut out the Chargers, and after that, the Panthers destroyed the Eagles, mostly because of the fact that Daniel Jones had the day away from hell because he threw not one interception, not two, not even three, but 4 interceptions, including one that was a pick 6. This was vintage Danny Dimes. Definitely not Indiana Jones. Next, we got the Commanders versus Rams, and in the fourth quarter, the Rams are up by 3, but Travis Etienne's got space on this run, and he's gonna get the touchdown. And Caleb Williams and the Commanders have worked it to the 8, but they gotta score here, and Chris Godwin's got the touchdown. But to have any chance, they need the onside kick, and nope, it was kicked directly to him. And last up for this round, we got the Jets and Titans tied at 7, and Cam Ward's got the ball with a chance to beat his real-life team. They've got the ball at the 47 with 90 seconds to go. Ward throws and hits Barkley across the middle, who's got space, and he's gonna get all the way inside the 20. Clock's gonna hit 45 seconds. The Titans have no way to stop it with no timeouts. Oh my God, what are they doing? They let the clock run inside the 10. Are they gonna call timeout? Or are they gonna run a play? What are they doing? They're calling a play with 5 seconds. Oh my God, just get down. What are you doing? And they do get a timeout. But oh my God, that was insanely risky. But it doesn't matter because they're gonna win this game and move on to the divisional round, where we start with the 49ers versus Saints. And the MVP Lamar Jackson's got the ball around midfield, and they're getting a big first down here. They do only need a field goal, but they do probably want to get a little bit closer, and that's definitely gonna help. So now it's 3rd and 2 as the clock goes under a minute, and Dowdle's got the first down, and he'll go all the way for the touchdown to take the lead in this game with under a minute to go. If Madden was a better game, you could say that they did that intentionally so that they can get the ball back. But let's be real, we know that is definitely not the case. Dak is definitely gonna just chuck it to the end zone. It's not even gonna reach, and it's almost caught, but it's not. So Lamar and the Saints win this game. So we'll move on to the Jets versus Dolphins, and the Jets are down by 3 in the 4th, but they got the ball at the 9. They're gonna hand off to Barkley. No, they're not. It's actually gonna be a play action, and it's caught by Christian Watson, and he's gonna get the touchdown to take the lead. But Baker and the Dolphins have worked it downfield to the 33, and they're gonna pick up another first down here to Colston Loveland, getting all the way to the 16, but they need the touchdown as the clock is going under 90 seconds. It's a read option with Baker, and he's gonna gain 7. So now they're at the 5, and they still have 2 timeouts. Bijan's gonna gain 2, and they're letting the clock run, which is smart, so the Jets hopefully won't have a lot of time if they do score. But they gain nothing on that screen pass, so it's 3rd down again. Baker's gonna step up and get sacked. So now it's 4th and goal. The season's on the line here. But Calvin Austin's wide open for the touchdown. But the Jets still technically have a chance. No, Cam Ward, don't try to run for it. What are you doing? At least give your guys a chance. So the Dolphins hold on to win this game. So we'll move on to the Panthers versus Rams. And with under a minute to go, the Panthers are down by 4, but Mahomes throws deep to DeAndre Hopkins, who's got it for a first down. So that got him all the way to the 21. You can't run that. Completely wasted 1st and 2nd down. So now he's gonna throw, and it's caught, but Kelsey's not gonna get close. Oh my God, he's gonna shake out of that and actually get close to a first. But that makes it 4th down as the clock goes under 10. Mahomes is gonna jump throw, and it's caught, and he's gonna be stuffed at the 1. So they run out of time and lose the game. He got so close, but Brian Branch was able to keep him out. The fact that it was the Rams that made that goal line stop is too perfect. But last up for this round, we got the Steelers versus Broncos. And I felt like I had to put the Broncos in their old home uniforms because this matchup in real life gave us one of the most exciting plays in playoff history when Tim Tebow hit Demaryius Thomas on the first play of overtime to win the Broncos the game. But in this game, we're tied at 7 in the 4th quarter, and the Broncos got the ball at the 9, but it's 4th and goal, and JJ throws, and it's caught by Jamison Williams for the touchdown. But the Steelers still have a chance to tie this game up. They're just gonna have to go the whole length of the field with no timeouts, but Herbert's gonna throw, and it's caught for a first down. So now they're at the 44. He throws again quick, and it's gonna be close, but not enough to pick up a first down, so it's 3rd down. Herbert steps up and throws across the middle for another first down. So they're at the 11. Herbert's leading the drive of a lifetime, and he's gonna step up and throw, but Winfield's able to break it up. Now it's 3rd down again. Herbert's gonna roll out to the left, and he's gonna run, it looks like, and he's got space, but he's caught, and he's short of the first down, so it's 4th down. He's gonna roll out right. Looks like he's panicking, but he's gonna throw, and he's got a man open in the end zone. Khalil Shakir grabs the touchdown, but the Broncos still have 17 seconds and a timeout. McCarthy's gonna drop back, and he's gonna throw deep, and he's got a man, and it's Coleman wide open. Oh my God, how is he so open? Getting to the 15. So now to win the game as time expires, they put up the kick, and it's a miracle in Mile High because they win the game. That insanely clutch throw by JJ McCarthy sends him to the AFC Championship to take on the Dolphins. Hopefully this Broncos team has better luck than Tebow's Broncos did after their miracle win, because I think they lost to the Patriots like 45-10 the following week. You gotta be kidding me. It's the exact same score. Is this team cursed? I'm at a loss for words. I genuinely cannot believe that happened. But what about on the NFC side? Nope, not close at all. The Saints destroyed them 43-14, giving us a Saints-Dolphins Super Bowl. And on their first drive, the Saints have got it to the 9, and it's a handoff to Dowdle, who gets close to the end zone. And now we're in the second quarter, and he's got a touchdown on the QB sneak from the 1. But now right before halftime, the Dolphins got the ball at the 10, and they pick up a first. That Bijan run got him to the 4, and it's a screen pass to him, and he's got blockers, but he's gonna get caught. It's second down, and they got plenty of time. Baker throws, and he's got the touchdown to Colston Loveland. And that's held all the way to the fourth quarter, leaving Lamar 50 seconds and 3 timeouts to win this game. They are starting at their own 18. I thought they were gonna run, and I would have hated that, but Lamar gets sacked. So it's 2nd and 17 from the 11, and both teams still have timeouts, so the Dolphins could get the ball. Like, it's 3rd and 9 with 45 seconds with a screen pass. They gotta pick up this first, and he's just short, so it's 4th and inches, so they're giving it back to the Dolphins with 2 timeouts to work with. And they are starting at their own 20, but they only need a field goal. Baker's gonna throw, and he's got Luther Burden, who's gonna get to the 50. And they use that second timeout. They only need like 15 yards. Why are they running the ball? That just lost them 4 and burned a timeout. So Baker's gonna throw to the sideline here, and he's stuck in bounds. So now it's the last play of the game. It's 4th and 11. Baker's gonna take a shot to the end zone, and I think he's got a man, and it's DK wide open for the touchdown. Oh my God, they actually did it. So the Dolphins are gonna win it on a walk-off. Baker Mayfield's got that dog in him. But that's gonna do it for today's video. If you wanna watch more, click one of the videos floating on screen right now. I'll see you guys soon. Be good people.